AutoCAD tips in 60 minutes that I've done where I'm including some of the new features in the latest release of AutoCAD, AutoCAD 2016, so I'm kind of excited about that. And rumor has it, when this presentation is over, that they are going to post it. So if you miss something along the way, not to worry, all right? You can go back and watch it later if you want to. And I'm coming to you from sunny Northern California. In case you're wondering where in the world is Lynn. That's where I live, in Northern California, and I have my trusty little white fluffy dog next to me. So I doubt you'll hear from her. She's pretty quiet. So anyway, my goal today, and now I'm down to about 55 minutes or so, I'm going to show you as many tips and tricks as I can, and I'm sure you're going to know some of them, because I don't think there's any way I can show you 60 tips where you don't know any of them. I mean, I'll be really happy if you get like a dozen of these tips that you can use when you go back to the office, if you're not there right now, or right after this presentation, so that you can be more efficient, because that's what it's all about. All right, so let's get going. So, as I mentioned to you, I'm going to be showing you some of the new features in AutoCAD 2016. If you don't have AutoCAD 2016, not to worry, at least half this presentation is on features that are not focused on the latest release. So not to worry, just hang in there. For those of you who don't have it yet, though, this will give you a chance to see some of the new features so you can see if it's something that you're interested in, if you're interested in upgrading or not. So upper right hand corner of the screen, you'll see a little icon for AutoCAD 2016 if those are just in the latest release. So that if you're not on the latest release, don't try these right after you get done with the presentation. Okay, so there. All right, let's go. No more chit chat, right? So to start off with, I'm gonna be showing my absolute favorite feature inside of AutoCAD in 2016, and that is what I call the new smart dimensioning. So let's jump in. Let's take a look at that. Let's get away from PowerPoint and let's jump right into AutoCAD 2016, which hopefully all of you can see on the screen right now. And so, dimensioning. Dimensioning is not a fun thing, right? None of us go into the office and go, yay, dimensioning. So with 2016, though, man, the new dimensioning is super smart and very automatic. But let's just take a look at it. So to get to it, I recommend that you go to the Annotate tab on the ribbon. And just so you know, this is the new one-stop shop for dimensioning, this guy right here. You still have the old tools on here. They work exactly the way they've always worked, but I highly recommend you try this new tool. And before we do that, I'm going to show you another tip that was added into 2016, and that is the ability to set a default layer for your dimensions, so that whenever you go to dimension, it will switch to that layer. And then when you're done dimensioning, it will put it back to where you were before, which I think is wonderful. Here's the caveat: it only works with the new tool. It doesn't work with the old ones, only with the new ones, all right? You'll also see that there's a new system variable, because we don't have enough system variables, called dim layer, so you can also make a layer, or you can switch to a layer from the command line. That's great for those of you who like to write script files, right? All right, let's go into the new one-stop shop. Love this. So as I'm moving around on the screen, can you guys see that it's just finding dimensions for me everywhere I go, right? They're just popping on the screen. She says, oh, let's turn off our object snaps. Works way better without object snaps. You can use object snaps if you need to go from one point to another that's not an actual object, but this is really the key. This is the fun part. So you can just pick any place you want on the screen, and you can dimension it. We can break dimension rules. We can cross them. It will let you break all kinds of rules, just so you know. So very, very simple. Move your cursor over an object. The dimension shows up. You click where you want it to go. Much, much fewer clicks. All right, what if you want to do an angular dimension? Well, if you pick two lines that are not parallel, it will assume that you want to do an angle dimension. Super easy. Radial dimensions, diameter dimensions, and zoom out just a little bit. You'll see it's very, very simple. Let's see if I can find my radius one. I saw it. There it was a second ago. It doesn't really matter, because if it turns out I can't get to the radial dimension and it's doing diameter, not a problem. I can go down and click on radius. You'll see that there are a lot of options available to you while you're dimensioning, so you can make sure that you get the right dimension. All right, so this is part I really, really like. What happens if you want to do continued dimensions, or what if you try to put a dimension on top of another one? What's it going to do? Right now it looks like it will just let me do it, but if you look at the bottom of the screen on the command line, you will see that it says move away, break up, replace, or none. So none means I will leave it there and my drafting teacher will be turning in his grave somewhere. So we want to make sure we do one of those options. Let's say move away, and you'll see that the dimension I just placed stays put. The dimension that it landed on top of, it kindly moved away. All right, let's do this again. Let's move our cursor. Let's turn my O snaps off. You can turn them on and off to get exactly what you want. I'm going to turn them back on just so they land right on top of that other dimension again. And let's try another option. Let's do breakup. Breaking up is hard to do. All right, you'll see in that situation, I love this. It will do a continued dimension automatically for me. Love that. That's fabulous. All right, so this is a really fast presentation, so we're not going to go into a lot of detail. I will say I'm going to hit an enter to get out of dim mode. All right, so dim mode is a mode all into itself. Some of you veterans remember the good old dim days, right, when we used to type in dim to get into all the dimensioning commands. That is very similar to the way it is now, except it's way cooler. If I do an undo at this point, all those dimensions are going to go away, so I want you to keep that in mind, because the dim mode is like a great big huge command to AutoCAD. If you want to just undo the last dimension, make sure you are still in dim mode when you do it, all right? Then it will just undo them one at a time. You will all find this out, incidentally, the hard way. All right, and here's an Augie wish list. Love Augie, right? Let's see if I didn't do a very good job. Let's try that again. Double click. Didn't have quite enough coffee, or I had too much. It's hard to say. And let's type in, how about Augie wish list? And you will see that those slider bars allow me to control the width of the dimension text. Like I said, that was a big wish list request, and now we have that inside of AutoCAD 2016. All right. So if I jump back over to my PowerPoint, we did all of these. Boom, 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 boom. Very quickly. Hold on. This is a fast-paced presentation. You have to hold on. All right, let's look at some of the changes in the user interface inside of AutoCAD 2016. All right, I'm going to jump right back over. We didn't hang out on PowerPoint very long. You can see that's a very sophisticated drawing that I have on there. So let's take a look at a few things. First of all, in 2015, we had the new tab, just so you know, its name changed to Start tab. If you don't like that, you can turn it off by setting Start mode to 0, just so you know. But as it is in 2016, it hangs around and it is persistent, and you can get to it anytime you want to, but if you have the File tabs on, right? So allows you to start new drawings, edit existing drawings. You can display up to 50 previously viewed drawings. The part I actually like that I wanted to point out is if you go to the Learn tab, first of all, there are videos on here, so you can learn the new features inside of AutoCAD 2016, but this is the part I love. See these learning tips? You can actually click on these and go through. There's a tip, supposed to be a tip a day, that you can go through and, you know, help educate yourself while you're sitting waiting for something to happen on your computer. You can jump over here, you can go through the tips and make yourself smarter every day. So I kind of like that. So I know that some of you, let's go back over to some other drawing. I know that some of you are what I call ribbon rebels, and you're still using, you know, the AutoCAD Classic Workspace. One of the reasons we don't like to switch to a new user interface is because we have to learn where everything is, right? And who wants to do that? And who has time, frankly, to do that? So I want to show you that Autodesk is trying to make it easier for you to learn where the new commands are in the ribbon, for example, or anywhere in the user interface. If I type in ISODraft, because I want information about ISODraft, if I don't know where, let's see if we can get this to work. It'll be interesting to see if you guys can see this arrow. Maybe I should have checked this before, because it's kind of an unusual UI, the way this all works. It's overlaying arrows. I don't know if we lost Sarah. Sarah, are you there? Did we lose you? Did you go? She left. All right, I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to assume you can see the arrow on the bottom of the screen. Oh,
I see the arrow.
Can you see the arrow?
I see the arrow.
Yay! All right, so I know that if you try to record this using almost any type of recording program, the arrows don't show up, so I wasn't sure. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's say we wanted to find out where the trim command was. Okay, let's face it, we could probably figure that one out on our own, but you'll see that almost every command in the help file has a find option, and it will show you exactly where it is. You can see that on the ribbon where it is. It will also, oops, that was too fast. Let's do it again. It'll also show you where things are. Let's see if we can find something that's in the application menu. Let's go to, how about purge? Let's say you don't know where purge is. It'll also show you in the application menu where it is. Love that. So you can't get lost. So if you can't find a command, Autodesk is going to make it easier for you to find them, and I love that. Because even though I've been using the ribbon a long time, you know what? I can't always find my commands. I don't know about you. So don't hit yourself, knock yourself around trying to find it. Don't waste time. Just ask the help file and click on Find Tool. All right. So also added, although I don't have this on the PowerPoint, is you can, I don't know if you noticed, you can actually click on these pluses to add more layouts. You'll see that AutoCAD automatically just numbers them, layout 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. You get too many, of course, you get the lovely little arrows. Now, some of you like to work with a lot of layouts, and you don't want to be playing with the arrows, right? For those of you where you wish it was like previous releases where the layout tabs are above the status bar, just so you know, they added into 2016 an option so you could take those layouts and you could dock them above the status bar. So if you had a whole bunch of them, they would just continue above the status bar. All right, no, I don't like them that way because I am very greedy with my screen real estate, so I'm going to put them back. But just so you know, those are all options for you. All right, I'm going to hop back over to the PowerPoint. And I went through all of these. Boom, 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 boom. Once again, if you are not a fan of the Start tab, you can turn it off. And also, just so you know, if you're a CAD manager or an IT person and you're doing deployments, you can also turn it off for deployments. I know that most of us have a love-hate relationship with the Start tab. Some of us like it, some of us do not. All right, revision clouds. So revision clouds came from a list routine that was an Express tool called RevCloud, right? And then it grew up and became a real-life AutoCAD command. But it wasn't the easiest to use, and it was certainly was not the easiest to edit. So in AutoCAD 2016, yay, they gave us a real RevCloud command that works way better than the old one, especially when it comes to editing. Just in case you don't like it, I don't know why you wouldn't like it. Just so you know, there's a system variable that allows you to put it back. RevCloud grips. All right, so let's jump over and let's take a look at the fabulous, let's see, get the right drawing here. New revision cloud. There it is. I try to have these set up so we can go as quickly as possible. I don't want to be drawing anything. I don't want to be switching around. So to get to the new revision cloud, right, we're going to go to annotate, and I have a low resolution just so it's easier for you to see on the screen. Yours will actually show up in the main ribbon, all right, but I have to do a little bit more work. I have to move to the markup panel, and I have to click on revision cloud. You won't have to do that, all right? So let's start off with rectangular. You know, pretty basic, just what you would expect. Let's go over to polygonal, once again. Very simple, very straightforward. What you would expect. We'll even add another one there. If you wanted a circular one or another type of object like this ellipse over here, you will see if I go into the RevCloud command that there is an option for object, which makes it very easy for me to select any existing object and turn it into revision cloud. So here's the cool part. It's the editing. See how easy it is to make a modification with the grips, as opposed to in the past, right? We would get this totally wonked out RevCloud with a funky looking arc when we made edits to it. So now it's much easier to do. Of course, if you were using revision clouds to draw shrubbery, yeah, then you might want to go back to the old behavior. All right. So also very, very cool. Big Augie wish list request is the ability to combine revision clouds. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to go back in the RevCloud command. I'm going to say M for modify, which may not be the option that you would think that you would use to combine revision clouds. Let's say I want to draw one off of this. Let's undo that. Let's turn off our object snaps. You can see it grabbed that line. That's not what I had in mind. And let's come back to the original. Once you go back to the original, it knows it. And now you'll see it saying pick a side to erase. And it's so obvious, right, what's going to happen here. And now I have two revision clouds that are combined together. So Augie wish list request granted. I absolutely love the new revision clouds. All right, let's see how we're doing on time. It is 21. I am a few minutes behind, but we're going to try to catch up. I know you can't think that I could possibly talk any faster, right? All right, so these are also some new features inside of AutoCAD 2016, and then we're going to move on to features that are not based on the latest release so that everybody can participate in the webcast today. So long time also wish list is the ability to easily add a frame around text. Let me jump back over. Let's go over here. And we've learned how to do it right with a rectangle command, or some of you may have become quite clever with M-leaders or using an express tool. But now, if you select any text and you go to properties, you will see that there is a new option in properties for text frame, and all you're going to do is say yes. And there you go. Easy, easy, easy. And I also want to show you one other feature that sorry. In the wrong space. Don't you hate that? You're in model space and you're supposed to be in paper space. So now I'm in the MText editor, as you can see on the screen. They added into the MText editor the ability to match properties in 2015, but it wasn't sticky. And by what I mean by that, those of you who are PowerPoint people or Word people, you know that you can make it sticky so that it stays on until you turn it off, basically. So that's the way it is now. Now it's a toggle. You'll see I can click on it. It will stay on. I'm going to go ahead and say, let's grab some, cancel. Look what I did. I'm going to grab this text right here. I'm going to say match properties. That's what happens when you try to go too fast. And you'll see that it does in fact match the properties, and I can continue to match properties and so on and so forth. So that should save you some time in the MText editor. Fastest way out of the MText editor, click outside of the text, right? In my humble opinion. All right, let's take a look at the new geometric center object snap. So if I wanted to find the center of this triangle or this polygon, you know, I'd probably have to draw some type of a construction object. Well, now there is a new object snap setting for geometric center. Let's make sure that we turn on our object snaps, and you will see that now if I go into a command like line, for example, all right, let's try that again. If I go into a command like line, you will see that there is a new glyph for the geometric center object snap, like an asterisk or star, and you will see very clearly there's a difference between the center object snap, in this case grabbing the center of the arc, and the geometric center of the object. But this should save you time. This should allow you to, for example, position text in the middle of a polygon, which in the past has not been the easiest thing to do, right? Okay, so that's geometric center. All right, so the next one takes a little bit of time, to tell you about. So if you have XREFs in your drawing and you decide that you want to change, for example, the color of the layers from the XREF in the current drawing, not the original drawing. If the objects are not set to by layer, then you run into issues, right? So I'm going to show you a way to get around that so that you can boss AutoCAD around and you can change the color of the layers even though they're from an XREF and even though the objects are not set to by layer. All right, you ready? Here we go. Let's go into the layer. So first of all, these are, just so you know, these are all XREFs in these viewports. All right, so I'm going to go into the layer dialog box, and I'm going to look just at the XREF layers. Here we go. Those are just the XREF layers. And then I'm going to select all of the XREF layers. And let's change the color. Let's change the color to, say, how about green? And hit an OK. And you look out and you're like, wait a minute. All those objects should be green, right? There must be some objects that are not by layer. Darn it. So you'll see there is a system variable called XREF override where you can totally override it. Hello. No, it's going into XREF manager. Don't be doing that. You need to be a little more psychic. Don't you wish AutoCAD was a little more psychic? There we go. And I'm going to set, this is a system variable, I'm going to set it to 1. And you will see that now all the objects obey and they're all green. Now, this is just a system variable. You can change it anytime you want. If I put it back to 0, everything else will obey the rules as it was originally created. It's completely up to you. I don't know how you CAD managers feel about this. They should have drawn them right to begin with, though, right? So that's XREF override. And let's go to the system variable monitor. Which one is that one in? I'm gonna have to go look for it. I had them all set up. We just don't remember what the name of the drawing file is. There we go. So if you've ever had anybody mess up your system variables, maybe somebody wrote a really bad list routine and you made the mistake of using it, didn't put the system variables back and changed them, you will see that inside of AutoCAD 2016 there's a very cool system variable monitor, sysbar monitor. It's not in any of the menus, it's kind of top secret. You don't know about it, you won't know about it. If you take a look on the screen, you will see that it has a certain set of variables that I care about, and it has the preferred setting. You can add to this list very easily. Just click on Edit List, and you can add as many, whatever system variable you want. You add it, and you set the setting that you want it to have, and you make your own list. All right, very, very simple. Now, if any system variables change, you can tell the system variable monitor that you want it to let you know. And you can see that I have very clearly stated that I want to let it know. All right, now I'm going to run a list routine that I messed up. There's Burst. Burst is a great Express tool that allows you to explode a block and that has attributes and keep the attribute value and not have it go back to the attribute definition. It's a fabulous command, Burst, if you haven't used it before. So I messed it up. Me and Heidi messed it all up and set it so that it didn't set the system variables back to what they were to begin with. So let's try it. I'm going to click on here. We'll do 2 of them. Why not? And then you'll see in the lower right-hand corner, I get this message. Some of your system variables have been changed. Oh, no. For example, if I go into the Open command, you'll see that I no longer get a dialog box for Open. So File Dia was turned off. What is up with that? If I come over here and I select these objects and then I go into the Erase command, it doesn't use those objects. That's because Pick First was turned off. Hopefully you guys are familiar with those system variables. So let's go back in the sysbar monitor, and you will see 3 system variables were modified. No problem. Let's reset them all, hit OK, and now we all live happily ever after. If I go back into Open, it works like it should. Yay. All right, so that's the system variable monitor. Let's go back over to the PowerPoint. All right. Look at those really fast. All right, file tabs. Moving right along. So I hope that you have file tabs on. Of course, you can turn them off in options. But there's all kinds of cool things you can do with file tabs that I find that a lot of people are not familiar with. So let's jump over. Some of them may seem obvious and some of them maybe not so much. First off, if you don't like the order of the file tabs, you should know you can just move these guys around, right? I also like the fact that you can go in, just move your cursor over any of these tabs. I didn't click or anything. And you can do a print or a plot on any of the layouts without even having to go into the layout. I like that. It saves me time. If I do a right click, this is where I think the real value is. If I do a right click, you'll see, of course, you got the standard save as, save all, whatever the situation is. But I love this close all other drawings. And there's actually in 2016 a new close all other command that you can type into the command line. So basically, it closes all the drawings except for the one of the tab that you happen to be on. So I like that. That saves me time. Copy full file path. Well, why would you want to do that? Maybe you want to send an email to somebody and you want to make it easy for them to go directly to this drawing file. You could copy the path and then you could paste it into the email, right? And then this last one, open file location, well, I just like that because I'm very disorganized. And I don't always remember what path or where I got the drawing file that I happen to be in. So you could do a save as, that's what we've learned to do over the years, or you could just do a right click and you could take a look by opening that particular directory. So there's some tips for file tabs. Let's go back very, very quickly. Boom, boom, boom. Just so you know a few things. If there's an asterisk on the tab, incidentally, it's already been modified. If there's a little lock on it, of course, it's read-only. Pretty simple to work with file types. With those file tabs, I just wanted you to make sure that you knew everything there was about them. All right, object selection tips. We select objects all day long. I think it's important that you know all the different ways of doing them so that you can save as much time as possible. So let's go right back over. Let's go to the Object Tools tab. And let's say I need to create another object like that object right there. I don't know what layer it's on. Is it a polyline? Is it a line? Does it have line weights? I am lazy. So I love this. In fact, I just got an email from someone not too long ago asking me if there was a way of doing this. You can select any object. So before I do that, actually, I want you just to notice, let's go back to the Home tab on the ribbon. You will see I'm on layer 0. I can select this object, do a right click, and say Add Selected, and it will allow me to create another object on that layer. I'll keep going. That looks just like that object. It has all the same properties. And then when I'm done, it puts me back to the layer I was on before. I love that. Again, fewer steps. I didn't have to even figure out what layer that object was on or what line type, or geez, does it have a line type scale? It will exactly duplicate all of the properties. How about for dimensions? Have you ever opened up somebody else's drawing and you needed to just add one dimension and you don't know what the settings are, you don't know what the properties are? No problem. Just do a right click, do the exact same thing, Add Selected. There's so many different ways you can use this great tool. And now I've created another dimension just like the one I selected. All right, Add Selected is going to save you lots of time. You don't have to do as much work trying to figure out all the right layers and properties and everything. All right, so my drafting teacher, who I mentioned earlier, would not be happy with this text, right? The dimension text is going the wrong way. So it looks like a lot of my rotated dimensions, the text is going the wrong way. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to do a right click, and I'm going to say Select Similar. And it will go out, and it will find all of the rotated dimensions on the same layer. And in a minute, I'll show you how I know that that's what it's looking for. And now we can go into Properties. We can go all the way down to the text aspect of the dimension and see where it says text rotation. Let's change that to a 0. And now all of my rotated dimensions are going in the right direction. All right, so now how did I know that? Let's go into the Select Similar command, and you'll see that there's a settings option. So you can come in here and you can tell it what you want Select Similar to look for. I have it looking for name, which is the type of object, it probably should say type, and the layer. So all of the objects that are similar to the one I selected that have the same name, same type, and are on the same layer. So you can control this any way that you want, all right? All right, so that is Select Similar. I'm telling you, that will save you a lot of time as well. Different ways of selecting objects, creating new objects. So, this one, sorry, there we go, selection cycling. Let's make sure that's on. As I move my cursor around, you will see that there are some boxes. They used to be blue boxes. They're not blue anymore. Now they're black. If I move my cursor anywhere where there are multiple objects, you will see that those boxes show up. So if you've ever had a problem selecting exactly the right object, maybe there's a line on top of another line or an arc on top of a circle, I think that you'll find that selection cycling really comes in handy. So I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so I can get a whole bunch of objects. Let's see how many I can get today. I got quite a few. Now I can move my cursor through the list and it will display all of the different objects that I could be using, right? So maybe I decided I wanted to delete that block reference. I could go into the erase command and I could get rid of it. So selection cycling. I'll tell you, that works, really comes in handy when you're trying to grab the boundary of a hatch pattern and it keeps grabbing the hatch pattern or vice versa. So selection cycling. I turn it on and off all the time. Sometimes it annoys me, sometimes it doesn't. You can also do a Control W to get to it if you prefer to use key combinations. So I'm going to actually turn them off for now. I turn it on and off all the time, even though I had to hunt for the little icon. All right, so I want to work on some objects right here. We're used to controlling the visibility of objects by turning layers on and off, but just want to make sure that you know that there is another way of doing that. All right, I'm going to select those objects by doing a window, then I'm going to select the XREF that goes with it, and I'm going to say isolate objects, and you will see that everything that was not selected is now invisible on the screen. And we know if we can't see it, we can't hurt it, right? So I'm going to zoom in and say, oh, there's actually a couple more objects I want to get rid of for now. Let's do the opposite. Let's do a right click and let's go to isolate and let's say hide objects. So you can choose which route you take on this. But now I have, I have complete control of what shows up on the screen, so then I can, draw more objects or edit or whatever the situation is. So that's object isolation. All right, if I do a right click, you'll see that I can come in here and I can say end object isolation, and it will bring everything back. And I'm going to actually head back over to my PowerPoint because I want to point out a couple of things. So when you leave AutoCAD, if you have objects that are isolated or hidden, everything comes back to normal when you come back into the drawing file. But there is a system variable that allows you to override that called object isolation mode. So if object isolation mode is set to 1, then when you come back in the drawing, those objects are still going to be hidden, which I just think is a fun way to mess with your coworkers, but that's a whole nother issue, right? So, but just, you CAD managers need to keep an eye on that. My object isolation mode would totally be in the sysbar monitor, so you can keep an eye on it, make sure no one's playing tricks on you. All right, let's keep going. So layers. The layer command is like the 3rd most frequently used command in AutoCAD, so we want to know all there is to know about layers. So let's take a look at some tips that have to do with layers, and I'm kind of catching up, almost catching up. And let's do this with that very, very complicated drawing. I just like this drawing because it's so simple that nothing gets in the way or confuses you, and I can do a bunch of things with it. All right, so the first one. This command is a very cool command. You can see the sysbar monitor keeps telling me things are changed. Thanks for sharing. So I am going to go into a cool command called lay trans. It's been around for a long time, but I find that people don't know about it. So lay trans is a great way to translate your layers from one set of layers to another. If you've maybe had one layer standard, and now the company's made some modifications, well, you don't want to go in the layer manager and change them all, right? That would take a long time. Excuse me. So I love the layer translator. What you'll need to have is a drawing that is correct, that has the right layers, and we're just going to ad-lib and just select any other drawing. We'll pick that one. Actually, let's pick that one. And then it's a very simple process. You pick the layer in the drawing that you're in, and you pick the layer name, and it will grab all the properties of the layer that you want to map it to. And you hit map. See that? It shows up. It shows you the changes that will occur. Do that again. Click on it. Another layer that you want to map it to. And you can say map same. So if they have the same name, it will grab all of those with the same name. Save you a little bit of time as well. So you don't have to map those all individually. And when you're finished, you hit translate, and all the layers will change name that you've selected, and they will also change properties. All right, now that's a pretty tedious process that you certainly don't want to do in every single drawing. Once you get the mapping correct, you can actually save that mapping out to a DWS file. And then the next time you come into Layer Translate, you will just load that file, and it will map them all very, very quickly. You can't see me right now. I got my hands going, trying to make it easier for you to understand. Unfortunately, that's one of the disadvantages here. I suppose we could have turned on the webcam. I would have had to make sure my makeup was great. But anyway, this is a really handy command when you need to switch from one set of layers to a different set of layers, and it will save you a lot of time. All right, so that's lay translate. So lay walk, I'm sure many of you are familiar with lay walk. I should be able to find this because it's just this nice little footprints right here. That's lay walk. Used to be an express tool, grew up and became a real-life AutoCAD command. This command comes in handy when you just want to see what's on each layer, right? Very simple. Much better than going in and turning layers on and off, right? That's lay walk. Lay merge. Let's go into the layer dialog box. And lay merge comes in handy when you want to take several layers together and combine them onto one layer. I'll just grab a few layers, and let's say I don't want those to be independent anymore. I want to merge all of those layers onto a different layer. Now when you do that, it's going to let you know that those layers will be merged. So I want to continue. Yes, it sounds pretty simple, but in reality, did you see that all of those other layers are gone now? And all of the objects, if I take a look at the drawing file, you can see it doesn't look quite the same because all those layers were merged into one, and they take on the properties of the new layer. All right, so let's see, how about lay ISO? Lay ISO, very simple, allows you to select any object and it will isolate all of the objects on that particular layer, right? Comes in handy once again to control what is displayed on the screen. And then the opposite of that, of course, is lay uniso, to unisolate. Make sense? And or you can just undo it. It's up to you. But if you, I'm assuming you're going to do something to it, so consequently you would want to unisolate it. There we go, right there. Lay uniso. And let's do set by layer. That one is this guy. And then I'll go back and talk about two others that I'm not going to show you in the interest of time, but you guys are smart, so you'll be able to figure them out. All right, so here I have a drawing file, and you will see, actually let's go to model space. You will see that all of the layers in this drawing file are gray. And yet, not all the objects in the drawing file are gray. Oh my, that means somebody was badly behaved and they did not draw the objects by layer. Shame on them, right? So I could come over here and I could select this, looks like a polyline to me. If I were to go over to properties, actually it's a line, you will see that it has a color assigned to it, not by layer, and it also has a line type assigned to it. Now I can fix that pretty easily. That's not a big deal. But if I come over here and select this block and do the same thing, go into properties, you will see that it says by layer. I'm like, you're a liar. If it was by layer, it would be gray. So we know what that's like. Sometimes you have blocks or nested blocks where the objects are not set to by layer. And then updating that and changing that, you know what? That is a pain, am I right? So I love this command, set by layer. It's a fabulous command. So I'm going to select all the objects in my drawing file just to make sure. Do you want to change by block to by layer? You betcha, including blocks and nested blocks, absolutely. If you take a look at the drawing file, you will see that everything is great because now everything is by layer. All right, two other things I didn't mention, lay del. If you've ever had a layer that you can't get rid of, lay del will delete any layer. It doesn't matter what's on the layer. It will also delete the things that are on the layer, by the way, so keep that in mind. Only two layers it will not delete. It will not delete which ones? Depth points, right? And the zero layer. Those guys are there for good. You can't get rid of those. And then last but not least, the last option on here, copy to layer. That's if you want to take an object, make a copy of it, and put it on a different layer all at the same time. This allows you to kill two birds with one stone. All right, to be super, super efficient. So that's copy to layer. All right, I'll sit there for a second so you can take in the slide. 1 second, that's all you get. All right, next slide. Text tips. So we use text a lot as well. So you want to know as many things you can do to manipulate your text as possible. So let's go take a look at some text tips. Where are we? 42. I'm so close. This is an exhausting, incidentally, very exhausting presentation. I'll have to go relax after this for sure. All right, so this drawing has all kinds of crazy things in it to make my life a little bit easier. Everything is all set up. So I'm sure you've all worked in drawings where you have individual text, right? And you wish it were M-text because maybe you want to change the width of the paragraph. Probably an old drawing or somebody didn't know what they were doing. So there's a very cool express tool called text to M-text that allows you to take multiple individual text strings and turn them into M-text. Hopefully you know about that. Now it's very easy for me to change the width of the paragraph. All right, T-orient. It's another one of my favorites. If you take a look at this text over here, you will see that it's not all what I would say is called readable. This text is upside down. This is totally upside down. There must be a better way. So T-orient allows you to go and grab any text that you... Let's try that again. T-orient. Be nice to me, T-orient. Let me come in here and grab all these objects. Not sure what happened there. And you will see that there's an option there for most readable. That's the default. I'm going to hit enter, and you will see that now all the text is easy to read, and we all live happily ever after. So that's T-orient. I'm going to show you one more thing you can do with T-orient. Let's grab these text strings over here. You can also tell it that you want text strings to be at a specific rotation angle. So maybe I don't know what it is right now, but I know it's supposed to be 80 degrees. I don't have to do the math and rotate them. Keeps the same insertion point, just makes my life very simple. All right, so that's T-orient, the ability to rotate text to a specific angle or make it more readable, right? What else I want to show you? Just in case you did not know this, the good old dtext command. If you need to place text on your screen, I'm not sure if you know this or not, but you can continue to click anywhere on the screen, more text, and it will allow you to continue to add more and more text. A lot of people don't know that. More text. Of course, when you're finished, the next enter. And all of these are individual text strings. It's great if you're filling in maybe a title block, you don't have attributes. It allows you to just slap a whole bunch of single line text on there very, very quickly. And I'm going to show you text align in a second, but before I do that, one more cool thing. I just did a video tip on this. If I this is an attribute, if I double click on that, I get into the enhanced attribute editor. All right, I can get the job done. I can change a lot of things that have to do with that text. But you know, I'm a little lazy, and I would like to see the text as I'm editing it. We're used to that now. If you hold down the shift key and you double click, it's not shift, it's control. I put the wrong thing in my presentation. Control, double click. It allows you to edit in place. Control, double click, you have to click twice. And now I can change the text in place and see the exact result, you know, W, whatever. You can make changes. And it's very clear to me what the result will be because it's dynamic on the screen. So that's a control, double click. I'm not really sure why I did it like that in the PowerPoint. Here's the PowerPoint for you. Control, double click. I need to fix that. And I did not show you text align, so let's take a look at that. Let's go over to text align. That is, you know, it's kind of sad when I don't remember the exact drawing file. There's so many drawings open, so I'll do it the hard way. Let's come over here. Okay, I already have it all set up. I do. All right, so I have some text on here that I wish was aligned. So there's a nice command that was added into AutoCAD 2015, which allows me to line those text objects up. Text align. And I'm going to go ahead and select this one and this one. And there's a lot of options to this command. You can control the justification. You can control the exact distance. In this situation, I'm going to keep them at the same Y, but if you're interested in this command, I could spend 10 minutes on it, but I don't have the time to do that. All right. So I selected all my text, and now I'm going to say I would like you to align it to this text right here. And I'll turn my ortho on so it's all nice and straight, and you will see that it lined it all up. So you can pick which text object you want, or object in general. It doesn't even have to be a text object that you want to align it to. All right, and you can see I kept the Y. So that is text align. All right, let's keep going. How are we doing? 47. I am almost caught up. Just some more tips in general, some more time savers. I just think that cartoon's kind of humorous. It's going to save you a little bit of time. Let's go back over to the tips drawing file. There we go. The one that we were just using. If you've ever wanted more than one hot grip on an object, maybe it's a rectangle, you want to extend both sides at the same time, you can hold the shift key down and it will allow you to have more than one hot grip, just so you know. Then you can do whatever you want to it. All right, let's do that again. There we go, like so. If you've ever wanted to fillet parallel lines, very easy to do. Maybe I want to fillet these. Actually, let's do these two. I'm going to go into the fillet command, and the object you pick first makes a difference. I'm going to pick this one first and then this one, and you'll see that it cuts the second one to match the first in this situation. Let's do that again. I'm going to pick the longer one this time and then grab the shorter one. You'll see in this situation it extended it and then drew a fillet arc that was tangent to both of the lines because of the parallel. All right? So that's filleting parallel lines. If I wanted to extend these two lines, I'm going to actually undo that so I can use those lines. I want to extend all three of these lines out to here. Most of us would draw a construction line and go into the extend command. I'm going to use an age-old command that I really love. I always love this tip because most people don't know it. Other people in the office will not know this. I went into the change command. I selected the objects that I wanted to change. I'm going to make sure my ortho is on. Very important on. You'll see why in a second. And then just pick the extension point that you want them all to extend to. Right? Very, very simple. You can do that in trim as well. Do the exact same thing without going into the trim command. You can just go back in the change command, select the same objects, whichever objects you want, and if you click a point on the object, it will actually shorten them as well. So you can use this to extend or trim without any construction lines, which I really like. Right? Also, if I go in the arc command, let's do center. You know, AutoCAD loves to draw arcs that are counterclockwise. We all learned that over time. It does not like to draw arcs that are not counterclockwise. But if you hold down the control key, this was added in a couple of releases ago, you can override that and get AutoCAD to draw an arc clockwise. I'm going to take my finger off the control key and you'll see now it goes back to counterclockwise. So just a little tip for you there. And let's go back over to the PowerPoint. And the last tip on here is if you've ever had, number 52, a viewport inside of a viewport and you try to get into it to work on it and you can't, end up moving viewports around just so you can get inside that viewport, right? In case you didn't know, you can do a Control-R and cycle through all the viewports till you get to the one that's correct. All right, Control-R, you should give that a try. All right, 52. I am almost right on time. All right, some table tips. If you use tables, you're going to like these tips. And let's see, which one is it? It's this one. Nope, not that one. This one? Nope. Dang it. I should write all these down, right, so that you don't have to wait for me. And while I'm here, I'm going to also mention that I'm going to also show you how to get rid of dimensions where people cheated and they typed in a value rather than using the actual value of the dimension. And the last one I'll just talk about. And we'll almost be done. Yay! All right, this one I know the drawing file name. Yay, I got one. And I'm going to go to model space. So let's say this drawing seems kind of big. I want to get rid of any duplicate objects. There's a very cool command. I just love the name of it, called Overkill. And I'm going to say everything. I want you to check everything out in the drawing file. And you'll see that this dialog box would take me a long time to cover, so I'm not going to go into details. But you do have some options when it comes to Overkill. Maybe if you have two objects on different layers, you don't want it to delete one of them, for example. But you will see that it will get rid of extra segments and polylines. you will see that if objects overlap, it could just draw one continuous object. Some very nice options in this dialog box. And there's a fuzz factor, so you can tell it how close the objects need to be before they're considered a duplicate object. All right, I'm going to say OK. And if you take a look at the screen, you'll see that it found a whole bunch of overlapping objects. Let's just jump over so you can see it. And it deleted 54 objects. So that really cleaned my drawing up. Right? Doesn't hurt to try it, right? And I'm going to go back over here. Let's zoom back out. Come back over here, right in here. So when we get a drawing from somebody, like I said, we don't really know if somebody cheated and overrode the dimensions, right? Doesn't it drive you crazy when you find out somebody did the hard way? So there is a command called dim reassoc that will actually highlight all, I'm going to say all, highlight any offending dimensions. Look, this is an offender, and that's an offender. And if I hit an extra enter, it will actually put them back to the original value. So you can see that somebody cheated. They didn't get it quite right. And you can go have a little chat with them. So that is dim reassoc. We'll go back over to the PowerPoint so you can see that one. That's one of my favorites, dim reassoc, and I showed you overkill. All right, so, and also, another way to clean up your drawing files is if you go into the purge command, actually, I can show this to you. If you go into the purge command into the dialog box, there's no way to get rid of registered apps. It doesn't show up in the dialog box. But if you do a dash purge, so you force the command line version of the purge command, you will see a cool option for reg apps. And reg apps could be some, you know, you insert it, as time went on, you may have used a list routine or some type of an application, and all the information from those apps got stored in the drawing file, and you just want to clean it all out. Look, you don't need it, and sometimes I've seen some really large drawing files that after you purge reg apps, they just get so much smaller. So if you're really crazy about keeping your drawings nice and clean, you want to make sure that you purge reg apps, and the only way to get to that is by going into the purge command from the command line, dash purge. Yeah, that's how you get any command line interface for a command, right? Put a dash in front of it. All right. Autodesk Seek. Let's go back over. I feel like Seek is top secret, that most people don't know about it. I need to insert a chair. I'm just using it because I just need to insert a chair because I need it for reference. I don't want to draw a block of a chair. I'm lazy. I already told you that. In the upper right-hand corner, you will see this is Autodesk Seek right in here. It's on the Insert tab of the ribbon, and you can type in anything, and AutoCAD will actually go out, and it will go to Autodesk Seek, which is filled with all kinds of fabulous content. Give it just a quick second, and it will go out, and it will find all kinds of chairs. It will find chairs that work in Revit. You'll see PDFs, drawing files, DWFs, all different types of content that you can use, that you can bring into your drawing file. All right? Maybe you'll even buy the chair. That's why people put it up there. So you'll use your content and hopefully buy the objects, which is always nice. Did my computer just hang right at the end? That would be pretty funny. Okay. All right. My last tip. If you want more tips, you can go to AutodeskUniversity.com. There, I have many classes over the years. This class will not be up there. You'll have to go to the MicroCAD 3D website in order to see this one again. But I've been doing 60 AutoCAD tips in 60 minutes for many years. So you'll find all different types of tips up there. And also, for AutoCAD 2016 specifically, I have written tips and tricks booklet that's absolutely free. You can get to it on my website, autodesk.com/Lynn Allen. You can download the PDF. Makes great Christmas presents. Filled with tips, lots and lots of pages of tips for 2016 and also 2015, but you'll find multiple tips and tricks booklets up on my website. And last but not least, lynn.allen@autodesk.com is my email if you have any more questions, or if you want me to send you a copy of this PowerPoint, I'm happy to do that. lynn.allen@autodesk.com, and I'm going to hand it back over to you, Sarah. Let me get out of this and hand it back over to you in case you have anything else that you want to say. Let's see. I don't, do you have anything else
Excellent.
on the screen or?
Wow, I'm just exhausted watching you, and that was amazing.
I'm exhausted. Everybody watching is
That
exhausted.
was awesome. No, I'm so glad we recorded it though, because I think people will want to go back and look at some of those again. It's hard to catch it all. So I will definitely be sending out that recording, hopefully by the end of the day. I was hoping to show my PowerPoint one more time. There was just the contact information, but it's not loading quickly here, so that's fine. Lynn gave you her email address. Mine is sredick@microcad3d.com. It's SREDICK@microcad3d.com. So feel free to contact us with anything, and definitely look for the recorded version sending out today.
Right, there it goes. Yay.
Oh, I'll just put it up. Promotions website, events website, and there's the last
There
one
she is.
there. There you go. So thank you very much, Lynn, for joining us. This was great. I learned a lot, and I hope everyone else did too. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Bye.